I'm here with Izzy Cartwright, lead designer, right? I got that right this time, right?
Yeah. How's it going, everyone?
All right, cool. Oh, if you hear stuff in the background, the live stream is still going on. Any new features to the commander system right now going in?
So the commander system is definitely something we're always looking at and working on. We know we kind of driving people to organize together all the time, and so we're always kind of looking at it. Nothing that we're ready to talk about or anything on that, but we definitely know we want to make some improvements to the commander system, and so it's something you'll definitely see.
So something like, drawing on the map and the commander will actually see, and pinging and...
Yeah, I'm not sure if drawing on the map is something we do, but it's possible. Like there's a kind of a whole plethora of things that we're looking at, but it's just when and how it all is going to get together. Once it gets closer, we'll talk about it a bit more.
Improving Zerg combat, because right now, we're seeing stuff right now that are...
It's a big topic actually of us. We really try to hit it on multiple different levels. Programming wise, we're always trying to look at performance and how when people do get together in large crowds, how to make that better.
And skill lag and
all that kind of stuff. And then on design front, we're trying to take the design and spread people out in the best ways that we possibly can. This always helps that in different ways. When it gets over to like World v. World, when people get together in different ways, when we're trying to make mechanics there as well that spread people out, as well as always looking at the balance and what we can do to punish people for getting in bigger groups and things like that.
All right, for the legendaries, when someone has two legendaries, right, they'll have an incinerator or, like the footsteps. Are you planning on making like both of the footsteps kind of stand out and be different from each other?
It's something we've talked about. We kind of need to look at the way our technology is all put together to really make that something like that happen. But it's a smaller task on a larger list of things. We're always looking at legendaries and trying to make sure that we can improve them or clean them up in different ways. And so it's on a task list, but it's not something we're doing right now.
I'm not really in this crowd, but the Mac client. Anything in the works for that? Because I heard it's still in kind of beta right now, right?
We devoted some resources to it right before ship. We've been focusing so much on the Living World initiative and getting all of our 2-week builds going down. We haven't done a ton to it. We always have a little bit of people working on and trying to clean up different features, but it hasn't been a big focus or something that we're putting a lot of energy into right now. But we know there's a lot of Mac users out there. We care a lot about them. We pay attention to what's going on and try to keep things improved there. But it's not a giant focus right now for us.
The Zaitan fight. Are you guys planning on redoing it or kind of expanding that whole dungeon, or at least the story mode, anything like that?
It's definitely a large topic that comes up internally. It's something that we did. We got it out the door a lot towards the end, and we really want to get more polish on it. So I definitely think it's something that we'll go back and revisit. You're seeing us kind of go back and look at some of the encounters that we've had in the past and improve them in different ways. And that's definitely one that we all really want to improve just as much as everyone else sees it. So I think it's something we'll definitely get to. It's just where on the list of things that we're working on we'll get to it. But it's definitely there.
Just like to qualify.
Yeah.
I could actually say that now. Can't.
It's one of those things where with the Living World land, we can go and do all sorts of different things. So who knows? But at this time, you haven't seen anything, and just have to stay tuned.
You actually answered me. All right, any changes to like the UI where you see a lot of people use consumables like the maintenance oils and the potions, all that type of stuff. Do you think you'll add like a button for that, for like a quit slot or anything like that?
It's been talked about. It's always kind of a tension between simplicity and complexity, like how much more buttons or things or dials or knobs do we give players in the game and make it something for a new player versus what we currently have. But we know there's a quality of life to kind of constantly using consumables in different ways, which is why we've been in different ways adding consumables that last longer or different things like that. So it's a possibility, but it's not, most of our discussions have talking about it. We haven't really devoted any resources to any of that yet, but it's something that we talk about, trying to like that quality of life to using that stuff, but probably not right now.
What about a new map for World v. World? Is that in the works, or are you just trying to kind of balance what you have right here so far?
We're always working on different pieces with World v. World, and we know that there's definitely tensions, especially on the Tier 1 servers, with capacity and things like that. And so we'd like to try to look at it from a global approach. How do we get more of that tension where the more people that are on a server, it's harder to play. And so, we're looking at that in a whole spectrum of different directions. And a new map's not off the table. It's something that we definitely, could be working on to get some of that fixed, but it's really just looking at the problem as a whole and finding the best way to solve it. We don't want to add tons and tons of space there, and then all of a sudden everyone's so spread out you can't get to them. You're not getting in these big fights. So there's kind of a tension, but how we're doing that. But it's definitely one of the areas that we're looking at for possibly going into there.
Anything else new coming to World v World that you guys you could say?
Yeah, I mean, the team's been working hard on a bunch of different things. I don't remember when the next release for that stuff's coming out, but there's definitely a lot of really fun and awesome things coming down the line. They've been adding a new, they add new skills every single solitary patch that they can, and they're kind of continuing with that cadence and working on different things. You'll see some new stuff coming down the line for that. And, we're always kind of looking at ways to get people more engaged and care a lot about the victory in World v World and make it so that you care about your standing in the world and tier 1 and higher. And so that's kind of some of the focus of some of the things you'll see in the future.
What do you guys think of an account-wide level instead of it separate to each character?
There was a discussion a lot right before we went, and we really always trying to look at what's the difference between something that makes it you want to earn progression through your characters. We decided kind of the goal of that system was to give you progression on your different characters, and we didn't want to make it entirely account wide so that you lost that sense of kind of leveling up another character. I mean, it's the same reason like we could make experience account wide on all the characters, but you kind of lose that sense of like what your characters are and who they are and the direction and the path that they're going. And so that's kind of why we just chose to do character wide. Now we do know there's a lot of people that want to play lots of different alts, and that's kind of a global topic for just improving alting in our game. And so there's probably some improvements we might do in the future for World v World experience because we know that's a part there. But right now I think we like that it's character based because it gets that kind of progression to your character.
Will the Elder Dragons have some type of part in the living story?
I mean, the dragons themselves are a very integral part to the entire lore and everything that's going on. And so I think you just have to stay tuned and see.
The combat mod, right? You've heard of it. Of course, you've heard of the combat mod. I mean, do you see any way of putting that in the game or some form of that you could toggle on and off?
It's not something that we've jumped into or looking at for that. As always with mods, there's always kind of different things that go on, but you got to be careful because lots of different things that people can do out there when downloading pieces. So we haven't, we're looking at different ways that we improve combat and feedback and all those things all the time, but we don't have any plans to full copy that or anything at the moment.
What is your goal for PvP at the moment right now? I understand you guys are trying to go with like esports and stuff like that. I don't think other modes will be in the works with that, or you're trying to stick with Conquest for now?
Oh, for PvP in general, different things? I think we're really trying to build the base fundamentals for esports, get those all going. We've gotten custom servers in. We've also been adding, all the spectator stuff. We're trying to get the fundamental building blocks to get a big esport going. So that's our main focus right now. We don't want to add tons and tons of game types and make it confusing and harder to do the esports stuff, but we do know there's always tweaks and things, and we want people to have a lot of fun to play around with the custom arenas in PvP. And so it's something that we're, dabbling with and something after we get these base fundamental building blocks down. But right now it's really just focused there.
Any guild features you're planning on putting out that you're working on right now?
Nothing we want to announce. We're always working on stuff, and we know guilds are just pretty fundamental part to guild wars. So there's definitely stuff that in the works always, but nothing we want to talk about.
Mounts, flying mounts that improve speed.
Not at this time.
By 200%.
No.
2,000.
Not at this time.
All right. Thank you very much for being a good sport, man.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good time.
All right.